Boy, get this video is heresy, like actual. What is wrong with my hair? Wrong way, this way. This video is just pure heresy. I don't even know why this dude came back. He should not have come back. But hey, I just want to say this: if you guys like this video, subscribe. If you like the video, make sure to smash that like button. I just don't understand why he's coming back, like, at all. Like, he shouldn't even be here, bro. He really shouldn't even be here. I don't even know what else to say. Like, I got plenty of things to say, but I don't even want to watch this whole video, because at the end of this video, I gotta go to work. It's just like, this dude shouldn't even be here, bro. He's just gonna say, look, first thing I hover over, it says Alice assaulting me. Emotional abuse. Isolating me from my friends. Lying and manipulation. These, like, 5 or 4 that I just read off right there, she's already talked about how she responds to his abuse with abuse, and she said that it wasn't okay to do that. So
this video is my response to allegations made by my ex-girlfriend Alice.
I already put it on 1.5. I can't.
Who I was in a relationship with for the majority of 2023. Alice hit me, kicked me, emotionally, verbally, and physically abused me, as well as threatened me and blackmailed me constantly throughout our relationship. Alice has
Hold up. Let's just look at these messages really quick.
kicked me.
I didn't force anything. It's normal to do it. I literally was sad about you going all the time. I don't want to upset you and ask you to stay. Like fucking hell. That's why I was asking questions in the kitchen. Read the room. I wanted you to be with me, my God. Yeah, but you then call me fat and kick me in bed. Okay, so like
Emotionally,
what the
verbally,
fuck
and
kind of
physically.
context? Dude, they're like typing over each other. It's like they're not even reading each other's messages. They're just like spamming message. Oh my God, bro. Dude, just get the fuck off the internet.
Me, as well as threatened me and blackmailed me.
Nobody gives a fuck about you anymore, bro. I'm downvoting the video. I don't even want to watch this. This is pissing me off. This is just pissing me off. This is a waste of my fucking time, bro. Oh my
Constantly
God.
throughout our relationship. Alice has continued to harass me by posting false information about me, as well as fabricating stories about our relationship online to this day.
So I'm a fucking whore mouth bitch retard cunt.
Is it generally because you're just fucking brain dead?
Yeah,
Do I actually need to, like, I could end this in 1 minute. I could honestly, 3 minutes and 43 seconds, I could end this right now. I could end this right now. Pull up. We'll get it double.
I'm very brain dead, yeah.
Is that why you decided to go on the fucking offensive instead of the
Didn't go
maybe?
offensive.
Okay. I don't know what to call what you did. It was weird. It's always weird. You always take the fucking weird route. Just do the normal route, which is just do the normal route, but a normal girlfriend.
You're
would do,
acting
and go,
like
I
this
didn't,
is
I didn't
all
mean
just
it.
me, and that's something you really need to fucking fix.
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick if you don't shut the fuck up. You.
Like, do I need to...
All of this will be covered in detail in this video, and for full clarity, I will be reading from a...
Oh my fuck. Do I need to, like, do anything else, bro? Like, I don't even... You know what? I'm pulling a Hassan. I'm gonna go make me a cup of coffee.
Document I've
while
written to
dude
make sure that
just
this is treated with the seriousness that it
I'm
deserves.
dead
Since our
ass
relationship
gonna make
ended,
a cup
Alice
of
has lied
coffee,
continuously for the
'cause
last
this
12
is
months
such
that I was
a
under a police
fucking messy
investigation
burger.
through friends, ex-girlfriends, and YouTube commentary channels. Alice has continued to make false allegations about me to this day and said that she had pressed charges against me in a comment on TikTok. This is a lie, as at no point have I been interviewed, arrested, or charged with a crime, but Alice continues to slander me publicly with these lies. Alice said that future partners can check Claire's law, and later claimed she got me put down in the system so that any future partners who know how Claire's law works can use this information to stay safe from me. The information that is accessible through Claire's law will be a criminal record, also known as a criminal history. All of this information is available on the Claire's law website, which I will link in the description. Alice has said that Claire's law can be used and that I am in the system, alleging that I am a convicted criminal or that I have a criminal record. Alice also says in the same messages that the police didn't do anything at all. These statements completely contradict each other, as it would not be possible for the police to have done nothing, and for the police to have put me on the system as a convicted criminal or as someone with a criminal record. Alice's story continues to make no sense, as Alice later said that I was charged by police, but this would not be possible.
I literally ran back because that's not how that works. That's not how that fucking works, you dumbass. You dumb motherfucker. Dude. Call me Battle Beast, bro. You see how small I am? You see how small I am? No muscles in my arms. No nothing. I don't have anything here. I want to fight them. I want to fight them, bro. I want to fight these people, bro. I want to get them in a ring. Put me on Creators Clash, bro. I hate these people, bro. I hate them. Oh my god, I hate them. Dude, why? Oh my fuck. Simply Google. We have... What is this? We're on WoW. Hold up. Just Google. Just Google. Look, I'm already on Google. Where did he say it was? Hold up.
Alice claims she had achieved to have done nothing, and for the police to put me in the system. This uses information to stay safe from me. The information that is accessible through Claire's law will be a criminal record, also known as a criminal history. All of this information is available on the Claire's law website, which I will...
Dude, look. History or of violence or abuse a person might have. Oh my fuck. A simple Google
link
search.
in the description. Alice has said that Claire's law can be used and that I am in the system, alleging that I am a convicted criminal or that I have a criminal record. Alice also says in the same messages that the police didn't do anything at all. These statements completely contradict each other, as it would not be possible for the police to have done nothing, and for the police to have put me on the system as a convicted criminal or as someone with a criminal record. Alice's story continues to make no sense, as Alice later said that I was charged by police, but this would not be possible if the police never did anything at all. Alice claims she had achieved her goal of getting me put on a list accessible via Claire's law, and that she had saved people because of this. None of the statements made about the police investigation make any sense, as Alice claims she had put me on a list that would require me having a criminal record and a caution from the police, but also says the police didn't do anything at all. This is because Alice is and always was lying. I would like to make it incredibly clear. I have never been contacted, approached, or interviewed by police at any point in my life, and I do not have a record or any cautions. Claiming that I am a convicted criminal or have a criminal history is the first of many lies that will be covered in this video. There has at no point ever been a police investigation, but Alice has continuously lied to hide the truth about what really happened in our relationship and solidify the false narrative that she has built about me over the last year. Alice wrote all of these messages and posted the document knowing that the police investigation was a lie, as it would not be possible for Alice to share any information if this was at any point an ongoing case. A YouTube commentary channel called Samuel said that she had been dealing with the police instead of immediately taking it to social media when he spoke to Alice.
Hey, I just thought I'd come in to say that I've spoke to Alice, the ex of Alex, and I've also spoke to Inaba. Now, Alice is dealing with this with the police as well. Has got the police involved. So instead of just immediately taking it to social media and speaking about it, has also got the police involved beforehand. And is dealing with it that way. She's going to the police about that, trying to get the situation sorted properly before she speaks about it online. Which is definitely a change. Usually people just immediately come online to speak about stuff and air it all out before going to the police.
This is a lie, as Alice had already posted months before she had released the document that I was on Claire's law in a comment on TikTok in April 2024. This would mean the police investigation had already finished and that I would have a criminal record 3 months after we had broken up, which would be impossible. Alice had also posted a video in April saying that she wanted to save the next girl that I would date. This clip is from a stream 2 months after Alice had posted videos and comments about me. Samuel says Alice does not want to come out and talk about this until after the police investigation had taken place, which was a lie. This is not how anything is unfolded publicly at all. Alice has been posting about me constantly and also released an entire document about me after lying that I was on Claire's law. She did not wait for a police investigation because she knew there wasn't one, and Alice later admitted that this was the case and that the police didn't do anything. At one point, Alice claimed I hadn't responded as she speculated that the police had contacted me, and that was why I hadn't replied. Alice was upset this message had been leaked in a YouTube video, and she hadn't intended for it to be posted publicly, as it would be incredibly clear that she was lying about the police investigating me to the point where she was actively speculating and telling lies when questioned about it. At this time, Alice reached out to my ex-girlfriends privately and asked my ex-girlfriend Jess to plan a statement to back up hers,
Dude, okay.
lying about the involvement of the police.
Okay, so you're telling me, let's recap this. Coffee's almost done. Listen, bro. You've repeated yourself 5 fucking times already. 4 minutes into the video. You've repeated yourself almost 5 fucking times. You've said Claire's law. If I had a drinking contest for every time you said Claire's law, my ex-girlfriend, she's abused me, like, holy shit.
People that her story was
Hold
the
up.
truth. Alice asked me, she did not wait for a police investigation because she knew there wasn't
The
one.
police investigation, she counteracted herself. Like, you are saying the same shit
And Alice
over
later
and
admitted
over
that this was
and
the
over
case and that the
again.
police didn't do anything. At one point, Alice claimed I hadn't responded as she speculated that the police had contacted me, and that was why I hadn't replied. Alice was upset this message had been leaked in a YouTube video, and she hadn't intended for it to be posted publicly, as it would be incredibly clear that she was lying about the police investigating me to the point where she was actively speculating and telling lies when questioned about it. At this time, Alice reached out to my ex-girlfriends privately and asked my ex-girlfriend Jess to plan a statement to back up hers, lying about the involvement of the police to convince people that her story was the truth. Alice has continued to post about me and harass me to this day, despite stating in a document that she was going to move on with her life after it was released in June. Since Alice's document, she went on to post many things on Twitter, TikTok, and in statements that contradict her story. One of the contradictions made was in a series of tweets Alice posted asking for YouTubers to reach out to her so she could do interviews for their videos on the false police investigation after her document was posted. Alice did multiple interviews where she has lied about me having a criminal record via Claire's law and being under investigation by police. She continued doing this for months, and these lies have been shared in many videos. Alice said that she can give updates and that people should message her directly, even though in these messages, Alice said that she hadn't received any updates or heard anything from police at all. She told YouTubers she couldn't share information until everything with the false police investigation had finished.
And Alice as well, speaking to her, she does want to come out and speak about this, eventually after all the police stuff, and just wants to be able to get all the information. She's got proof as well, and she wants to be able to get all that out there once she's spoken to the police properly.
This story at no point has made any sense, as Alice says that she would only post about this after the police investigation had finished, but then continued to say that the police were involved months after she had posted her document.
Oh, wait.
Which once again shows that Alice was lying the entire time.
Wait.
She can
Let
provide
me
updates to
guess.
YouTubers.
He's gonna say again that she said that the police have done nothing. Let me guess. Wait.
This tweet, but made an excuse to people she was arguing with on Twitter that the reason she couldn't provide updates to them was because of the fact that there was a police investigation and that she wasn't allowed to share anything until it was finished. And that now it finally finished, she could share more information again. This makes no sense, as Alice had already shared an entire document about me and was then asking people if she could continue to share more information. This makes no sense. She wasn't allowed to share anything until it was finished.
Crazy.
And that now it finally finished, she could share more information again. This makes no sense, as Alice had already shared an entire document about me and was then asking people if she could continue to share more information.
It's like, dude, his dates are literally like throughout the year. One was in June, and then the next one was in August.
About me in interviews on her Twitter that were then posted onto YouTube. Alice wrote right at the end of her document that for legal and obvious reasons, she wouldn't attach all the evidence she has, but in due time, it may be made public. Not only is this not how police investigations work, but Alice has not posted more evidence since, despite saying the supposed investigation had now ended. This is because there never was an investigation, as it was a lie. It would not have been possible for Alice to share anything at all by her own admission if there actually ever was a police investigation in place. Alice has continuously lied and claimed that this was the only thing stopping her from releasing information, and she acknowledged this herself in this tweet and when speaking to YouTubers. The reality is, there never was a police investigation, which Alice later admitted to. This is why Alice decided to publicize a heavily edited version of events to damage my reputation.
Yeah, I'm already. Hold up. Let me pull up World of Warcraft for this shit. I'm already over this, dude.
With false stories and lies like alleging I'm a convicted criminal with a criminal record. I have taken my time gathering information and evidence as Alice has continued to lie about me and the abuse she put me through during our relationship, whilst blackmailing me and threatening me. Alice has created a one-sided narrative that does not show the reality of what had happened during our relationship. Due to Alice's constant posting about me and my own personal issues, my response has been delayed many times, and all of this will be covered throughout this video. When Alice's story was questioned by people on Twitter, she responded with threats to leak my phone number, whilst also insulting me and anyone who pointed out these inconsistencies in her document. Alice would then block these people after arguing and insulting them for replying to her posts as they were highlighting many of the inconsistencies and lies that Alice had made. Alice changed her Google document multiple times to hide these criticisms and has cropped messages that showed her using the same racial slurs that she had accused me of bringing into our relationship, as it directly contradicted her story. This was unacceptable behaviour, and I deeply regret using such horrific language, and this will be further addressed in this video. Alice has erased any evidence that these events had taken place or that she had been at any point abusive physically, verbally, or emotionally towards me, and this proceeds throughout her entire document, which has since been edited multiple multiple times, which was pointed out by a user on Twitter. Alice's entire story has been built on lies, and in this video I will be showing screenshot evidence that directly refutes the claims that she has made against me, as Alice intentionally left out hundreds of text conversations that would disprove her stories and false narrative that she has created. Instead, it would show that Alice had been abusing me for our entire relationship, and that she has not stopped harassing me for the last year. Alice has made tweets stating that I do not have any trauma from our relationship together, and that she never hit me. These statements are untrue, and in fact Alice admits to slapping me and pushing me in another in her own document. Alice had also been kicking me, which she admitted to me on Facebook Messenger after she had lied that I was on Claire's law. And all of this will be covered separately throughout this video. Alice has done all of this despite claiming she was never physically abusive at any point in our relationship, which is a lie, as Alice was physically abusing me regularly, which she has hidden and now lied about publicly. Alice also posted a series of tweets and argument on Twitter, stating that I do not have BPD, also known as borderline personality disorder. Alice has even gone as far as diagnosing me as a narcissist in her document, and she claimed that she is an empath. I was diagnosed by my psychiatrist with what they believe to be emotionally unstable personality disorder, also known as borderline personality disorder. I was then referred to my local community mental health team after the diagnosis from my psychiatrist. The claim that I haven't been diagnosed with BPD is untrue. Alice has made multiple tweets spreading false information about my medical history, whilst continuing to lie during these arguments she has online regarding me. Alice replied to a tweet which she believed was about me, where she denied that I have BPD, as she thought the original tweet was in defense of me. When it was pointed out the tweets were not about me, and that they were about another YouTuber, Alice tried to justify her ongoing posts lying about me as simply sharing information, even though nobody had asked, and she had said she wasn't going to post about me after the document was released due to the police investigation that she had lied about. Alice has continued to try and remain in control of the narrative surrounding me and my life for the last 12 months by spreading many lies, including this one. Alice has opened her document by saying that I will make a contradicting response to the allegations that she has made against me, and that after posting her statement she can move on with her life. But this was a lie, as Alice has continued to post about me many times online to this day, as I have shown and will show throughout this video. Alice claimed that I threatened her not to come forward with her story, and repeats this when talking with YouTube commentary channels. Alice shows no proof of this, and that is because this is the exact opposite, as Alice had been threatening and blackmailing me throughout our relationship, and months after it had ended. I had told my friends that Alice had been hitting me. Alice denied this on text when she found out and threatened to sue me if I continued to tell people she had been hitting me throughout our relationship. Alice says that my story will contradict hers, and that's because Alice knows our relationship is not how she has portrayed it online. Alice has lied constantly, and I can prove this with the text evidence that she is intentionally not included, as it contradicts her own story. Alice says we had a huge fight, where I dragged her, covered her mouth, and put her in a headlock. And that this
I'm not surprised
on
after you wanted to bash her head against a fucking brick wall.
There are no texts from this time that even suggest that we were fighting or had been in a fight, and that's because this did not happen. On the 19th of October, Alice asked me to call, and the next text message was Alice asking me to sort out my bike in the garage. Later that same day, Alice asked me what's happening, and I tell her the cat had shut me in the cupboard because I was fixing our heating. And then that night we texted about packages arriving the next day. At 1 past midnight, Alice tells me she'd made me pizza, and on the 20th of October, Alice asked me what I want from the shop, and then we go on to talk about buying Pokemon cards. To claim we had a huge fight where I physically assaulted Alice is a lie. I never did these things Alice has accused me of doing, because this never happened. Alice has texted her mum, and used this as proof that this event had taken place after screenshotting the text in real time, as the messages display the words today instead of the date that they were taken. Alice knew she would be using them in her document, and that she had been planning this full story about me. Alice has used these texts to make it seem like I had physically assaulted her, when this never happened. This isn't the only time Alice has used similar proof to claim something had happened which had never taken place at all, and she does this many times in her document. Alice provided a list of events that she had written herself directly into her notes app as evidence, and has attached them to her document as proof. But Alice was still writing these stories after she had said that she had moved out, which shows that these were written at a later date retroactively for this document. Anyone could have written down anything on any date and claimed that it was true. Writing down words into a notes app can be done at any time, and is in no way, shape, or form proof that something happened.
Wait. Didn't you just say... I've been hearing this drama all day yesterday, so I, like... Didn't you... Oh my god. He just said earlier that she should have wrote it down or something. There would be some form of evidence. Did he not say that?
The texts between us from that time reflect a totally different story that Alice has not included in her document, even though she provided an exact date of the day this had apparently taken place. Instead, Alice has fabricated a story entirely, and has accused me of being physically abusive to hide the fact that she had been slapping, punching, and kicking me throughout our relationship, something that she had tried to hide from her document, and has lied about on Twitter publicly. At no point has this story ever been consistent, as Alice said that this happened on the 4th day that we moved in with each other in her document and in her notes app, but then had texted me that it happened on the 2nd. And to be clear, the text messages from the 17th of October also show that this was not the case. Alice started to accuse me of being physically abusive with her after I had asked her multiple times to stop her constant physical attacks on me. Because these continued, I had asked to break up. The first time Alice ever mentioned that this assault had apparently happened was when we were in an argument on the day we broke up, and I told her to leave the house. Alice accused me of grabbing her, and said she could prove that this had happened because she had written down the date in her notes app, and then started to blackmail me and threaten me that she would go to the police and start calling me an abuser. I denied this ever happening, and explained how it was strange that Alice was trying to gaslight me into believing that this had taken place. I had asked Alice not to come back to the house, and that I would leave her stuff in the garage because I wanted to break up, and I didn't want her near me anymore, as she had been assaulting me and threatening me since we had started dating. When Alice had left the house, I finally thought I could escape our relationship, and that I wouldn't have to see her again. This is when Alice began to start blackmailing me and threatening me because I was asking her to stay away. Alice told me that she was going to come back and that she was only gone for a night. When I told Alice I didn't want want her to come back, she accused me of physically abusing her. Alice then threatened to report this lie to the police to stop me from trying to leave our relationship. I knew that now, if I tried to leave, Alice would accuse me of physically abusing her, as she had used this to get me to back down from trying to end our relationship in this conversation. The false accusations and police threats were the final straw. I did not want to be blackmailed again into staying in our relationship. Alice continued to insist that I had assaulted her in our argument over text, but as I've shown, we were completely fine on the 19th of October because this fight never took place. Alice has created this story because she'd been threatening me throughout our entire relationship with ruining my life and career, and she knew she could bully me into submission and control me with these accusations and threats. Alice had told me that she had recorded me during my manic episodes and when I'd reacted to the constant threats and physical attacks in our relationship. Alice would threaten to post these videos when I tried to leave and when we argued. I felt that I had no choice but to stay when Alice threatened me. Alice has carefully selected these screenshots to hide me denying the physical abuse and to paint a completely different story, which is untrue. In the full thread that Alice hasn't shown, I told Alice I'd only tried to hug her, as I was not talking about grabbing Alice at all at any point in the conversation that she has tried to misrepresent. And when we discussed this at a later date, Alice says that I had hugged her and that I had walked away to avoid us fighting, which is not what she's tried to portray in her document at all. In one argument, Alice accused me of dragging her again, to which I sent her a voice message where I told her that it didn't happen.
I'm so confused here, Alice. Like, this morning, I was just trying to talk to you normally. I tried to call you, tried to have a normal conversation, and you escalate it to this. I don't understand. I don't understand, like, why this? Why does it have to be this? Why couldn't you just let me talk to you, like, have just a normal conversation today? Why did you, like, do you want it to be this? I don't want to fight you, I don't want to have fights with you, I don't have angry text messages with you, and I also don't want to be accused of doing stuff that I haven't done.
Alice then mocked me because I brought up her slapping me. Alice texted me in response saying, "You're mad if you want to say I'd slap you," even though Alice has now admitted she slapped me in the document that she posted. In these texts, I said that Alice pushed me away and gave me shit 24/7 to the point where I didn't want to sleep in the same bed as her. At this point, we were sending messages at the exact same time. This makes it look like we were responding to each other, but we were sending these messages simultaneously, as shown in these screenshots. When I said that Alice can't go around screaming in our house, it was because it was attached to the message where I was explaining why I'd started to sleep downstairs because she would punch, kick, and scream at me, so I'd been forced to sleep on the sofa. Because we lived in a rented house, I didn't want to be evicted because of the constant arguments and screaming when I would sleep upstairs. Alice has cropped these messages intentionally to hide the entire context of this conversation. Alice has not only not shown these texts from when this apparent fight took place, but has now cut around messages to portray a story which is untrue. Alice hit me many times throughout our relationship, and this happened consistently from the moment that we started dating. Alice would use physical violence when I refused to do as she had asked, and this is something she admitted to in a conversation on Facebook Messenger. When I brought up that she had been assaulting me throughout our relationship, Alice responded by saying that any girl would have done the same. Alice also went on to send me a message where she said that her kicking me was probably uncalled for. I messaged Alice about her assaulting me on Facebook after she had posted TikToks calling me an abuser and lied that I was on Claire's Law and under a police investigation. I questioned why Alice was doing this when she had been physically assaulting me throughout our relationship. I told her because of this, I would have to defend myself because of the accusations she had posted publicly. This is when Alice threatened to sue me for suggesting that she had slapped me, which she later admitted to in a document. I messaged Alice about the time she had kicked me, which had led to me sleeping on the sofa and staying away from her to stop her from assaulting me. I retold this story on messages, and Alice replied saying she didn't just start kicking me randomly for no reason. Alice admits in these messages that she was kicking me because I had refused to put my shirt on, which is her reason for assaulting me. Alice responded with, "Yeah, that's pretty stupid," in response to me refusing to put my shirt on. This is because I had a skin condition that Alice was aware of. I said it was stupid at the time because I regretted not just doing as Alice had asked, as it would have avoided her assaulting me, and we wouldn't have ended up arguing. We had also texted about this exact situation. I told Alice I didn't want to upset her as she was angry that I no longer would share a bed with her anymore because she had been kicking me and calling me fat because I had told her that I couldn't sleep with a shirt on because of my illness. I've had a skin condition since 2021 that was brought on by stress. This skin condition would cause me to have full body itching episodes when I was touched, stay dry, or hit since 2021 that was brought on by stress. This skin condition that I couldn't sleep with a shirt on because of my illness. I've had a skin condition.
Why are you like... I have so many questions about this. Why do you have multiple pictures? For one. And for two, just shave your chest, bruh. Like, we can't all grow chest hair. Like, I can't either. I gotta shave it.
Condition since 2021 that was brought on by stress. This skin condition would cause me to have full body itching episodes when I was touched, pushed, or hit, and it made it very hard for me to sleep. I was told by my doctor to try and avoid stressful situations and to stay dry and avoid warmth as it was seemingly making it worse. This is why I would sleep with no shirt on. When we first started dating, it was minimal around the stomach area, but a few months into our relationship, it spread to my entire body. Throughout my time with Alice, it got worse, and the stress of our relationship and other issues I was having at the time were having a huge effect on me, and Alice was aware of this. Originally, she seemed supportive, but it quickly became something that she would use to hurt me. Alice started by calling me fat in text and in person, and this was because she wanted me to keep my shirt on because she did not like my illness, and she didn't want to see it or be around it. We were in bed together, and Alice told me when I took my shirt off that if I was going to do that, then she wanted me to sleep downstairs. I told Alice I wasn't going to do that because I wanted to sleep in our bed that night, and she had complained that I spent too much time away from her. This angered Alice, and she called me names. I ignored her and turned away so I could go to sleep. Alice turned around in bed and kicked me in my lower back, and I told her to fuck off. And then she kicked me even harder and then started to donkey kick me in my neck and in the back of my head. Alice had done this so hard that I fell out of the bed while she was still kicking me. I proceeded to get incredibly angry, and I shouted at Alice and I insulted her, and this is something that I deeply regret doing. When I messaged Alice about this on Facebook, she said that she didn't just start kicking me hard. The argument had got worse, and we both started insulting each other. Alice then pushed me and tried to hit me. This is when I grabbed Alice by the arms and I pulled her to the floor. This is the only time that I tried to defend myself after Alice had tried to attack me after kicking me in the back of the head. Alice says in the messages that she didn't do it for no reason, as she believed that because I'd refused to sleep downstairs without my shirt on, that made it acceptable to kick me because I'd refused to do what Alice had asked. Alice has also written in her document that I had accused her of hitting me when we were in bed because I was talking to our cat, and Alice has put this story last in her document. Alice says that this story about the cat is a lie and that it didn't happen, and wrote this. At this point, he's trying to use a situation with that cat and manipulate the story. I can show what really happened here. Alice has shown 5 screenshots of this conversation and has portrayed it as the whole story. Alice does not show the hundreds of texts where she admits to getting physical and trying to hurt me whilst also downplaying the seriousness of her physical attacks on me whilst justifying them. This was purposely hidden as it would show that Alice was physically abusing me, which is why she shows this screenshot and has cut off the first part of the conversation where I'd asked Alice why she tried to hit me, in which she belittles and insults me for suggesting that she had assaulted me, even though she admits to getting physical in the text that she did not show. Alice then went on to write this. I had told him to stop saying weird things to the cat, he was joking about taking him away, and why would I let someone who told me they'd break my cat's neck near my cat? This was an argument around mine, so there is no texts. This is not true at all, and not how this took place, which will be shown in these text messages. For context before I read them, me and Alice were in bed together when our cat Bear entered the room, jumped onto the bed and sat on my chest. I began talking to the cat in a silly voice, and Alice was laughing with me. I was jokingly saying I was going to eat him if he got any closer, and it was very apparent that I did not mean this literally, and that I was in fact joking, as we had done together throughout our relationship. Alice even acknowledges that I was joking in her document at the time. Alice said this in her document. He then goes on to say I have punched him in the face over the cat. This is the Lulu Island we're on now, because he's trying to grab onto anything he can to create his story. This didn't happen, and I couldn't tell you where he cooked this up from. This is from an argument where he was being horrible, had the cat in his arms, and came up to me making jokes about taking him away. Alex was in my face all over me doing this, so I pushed him off of me. I got this story from our own text that Alice has left out of her document. It is not something that I had cooked up, and I'm not creating my own story, as there were hundreds of texts of me complaining when it happened that Alice doesn't show, which I will read for full clarity. Alice admits that I was making jokes in her document, but then says I was being horrible, which is untrue and completely contradictory to what Alice had written, where she fully admits that I was joking at the time. Alice calls me delusional and says I'm on Delulu Island for thinking that Alice had physically assaulted me for joking about the cat, but has written in her own document that she did push me, but it was because of me making these jokes about the cat. Alice texted me saying she hadn't hit me, and this was after I'd accused her of punching me in our bedroom in person, and then I walked away. Before I left, I asked Alice to pack her things and leave, as I was not comfortable with being hit in our relationship, and this was not the first time that Alice had hit me. At first, Alice completely denied even trying to hit me at all, and then responded with her reason for why she got physical with me, as it was due to me saying I was going to take the cat away as a joke. I was incredibly thrown off by this, as it was minutes after Alice had assaulted me. Alice began to gaslight me over text and tried to get me to think that this had never happened, and that I was overreacting. Alice didn't apologise for getting physical, but instead doubled down on why she'd assaulted me. Alice hadn't told me she didn't like the way I was joking around before she assaulted me. We were in bed laughing, so I thought it was fine and just a normal interaction. Alice calls me mental and mocks me with laughing crying emojis for trying to discuss why she had assaulted me. I made it clear in the
Wait.
Alice hadn't told me she didn't like the way I was joking around before she assaulted me. We were in bed laughing, so I thought it was fine and just a normal interaction. Alice calls me mental and mocks me with laughing crying emojis for trying
in my bag. I got a bit earlier with that excuse. Grammy. I don't know why. Okay, so like, I know he's the abusive one because they're just not leaving. Like, he keeps pressing her over and over and over again.
to discuss why she had assaulted me.
She's saying
I made
you're
it clear in the
mental,
text that I did not push Alice to get
leave,
physical
bro.
when I was upset with her, and that I was tired of her doing this to me. To which Alice responded by agreeing and saying, yeah, after you've been a bellend. Alice ignores her assaulting me as the reason this argument has started, and has cut it out of her document to make it seem like I was being horrible, and that she had reacted to me, and not that she had hit me and insulted me, to which I responded by asking her to leave the house and leaving the room. This is why Alice at no point is specific about what I said that was actually horrible. She just references the joke I made about taking the cat away. This is because I wasn't being horrible, and Alice is misrepresenting the situation intentionally by hiding these texts that showed what really took place. Alice again acknowledges in texts that I was joking, and that I was not being serious at any point, and that she was aware of this the entire time this argument was taking place. This contradicts what Alice has said in her document, where she claims that I was being horrible, as Alice knew the whole time I was joking, as shown by these messages, minutes after the actual event had happened. I told Alice I didn't like her getting physical with me, as it would happen a lot, and I was often ignored when I tried to talk about it. When I would ask why, Alice would stonewall me, or would tell me that I was overreacting when I complained about things becoming physical. Alice would not talk to me or tell me she was getting upset before she resorted to physically assaulting me. Alice tried to take the conversation away from it being about physical abuse, and said that I was asking her to leave because she didn't laugh. I asked Alice to leave because she had attacked me without warning, instead of talking to me, and Alice knew this, as I made it clear in person and on the text conversation that we were having. But Alice was trying to change the reason I wanted to break up to make me look like I'd overreacted to her misunderstanding a joke, and not because I believed that she had assaulted me. Alice says, because I didn't laugh, because I pushed you off. Once again showing that Alice clearly knew that she had been physical with me, and then mocked me and belittled me for it, even though she had started by calling me delusional for even suggesting that she had been and that this had taken place. Alice still calls me delusional to this day for believing this even took place, and says I'm on Delulu Island in her document. I asked Alice to stay away from me, and she called me mental again. I told Alice that I would stay away from her because she hadn't stopped assaulting me, as I felt this was my only option that I had left. I complained again that I needed Alice to leave. I felt I was being intentionally pushed to my limits, and I'd reached the point where I was afraid to interact with our cat or Alice out of fear of being assaulted, as it had been going on for months at this point. Alice calls me delusional again, and blamed me, saying that this was my decision when I had asked her to leave the house. But I wouldn't have asked Alice to leave if she hadn't have assaulted me. I had let the physical abuse towards me become normalised for reasons that I will go on to later in this video. But I had reached a point where I couldn't deal with it anymore, and felt there was no excuses to justify this situation, as it seemed Alice now believed that me wanting to leave because of this was an overreaction. Our relationship was incredibly toxic, and it affected us both severely, and I felt that we needed to be apart as things were getting worse. Alice says that I was horrible to her to justify the continued physical assaults on me, even though she had started this fight because I was joking, and had tried to hurt me to get me to stop. But to claim that this behaviour was exclusively one-sided is untrue, and does not justify resorting to physically assaulting me because of a joke. Alice then mentions I had said something to her the other day when her brother was over, and this story is actually in Alice's document. This wasn't the first time where Alice had treated me this way over the cat, but it's becoming a daily occurrence throughout our relationship. There are so many cases where I end up taking Bear into another room, saying that taking the cat off him is starting an argument when I only did it after he said weird things to him. Acts like a child had his toy taken away when realistically, I was uncomfortable with him being near my cat after saying what he does. Alice says that I acted like a child had his toys taken away, and that I complained that taking the cat off me is starting an argument. Alice then says I said weird things to him, and that's why she had taken him away. I was upset with Alice because, like in these texts where Alice justified assaulting me for talking to the cat and making jokes, Alice would use the cat as an excuse to assault me. I had broken down on a few occasions due to this, and I had gone to Alice and spoken to her about this because, as she says in her document, she was constantly taking the cat away from me, and I felt that this was done to get a rise out of me, as she knew that it upset me. Alice knew that I kept
Is this about the
head for the cat, but constantly referred to me being affectionate with the cat and talking to him as weird when I had asked why she'd taken him away, or pushed me and left the room. Alice messaged me that she realised I cared for the cat after we had broken up, but had still gone on to portray me being affectionate with the cat as a justifiable reason to physically assault me, which is why she had kept things intentionally vague when describing me talking to the cat as weird, and has cropped these texts, as Alice knew I was doing nothing out of the ordinary when it came to me and the cat. Alice says in her document that I was acting like a child because of this. I had asked Alice many times to stop hurting me for being affectionate and talking with the cat, like I am doing in these text messages. I had broken down crying in front of Alice, which is why she says I'm acting like a child. Alice makes it seem like I was overreacting to something small, and not that I was deeply affected by being assaulted and mocked constantly for talking to the cat and various other issues in our relationship. This is why Alice has intentionally hidden these text messages that show why I was so upset, so she could misrepresent my complaints as childish and unreasonable, even though she admits to doing this on many occasions. It was affecting me severely trying to deal with the gaslighting and manipulation, as well as the physical abuse while sharing a house together. And to read that my breakdowns have been described as acting like a child who had his toy taken away shows that Alice was aware that it affected me, and is even now still insulting me and mocking me for pushing me to my breaking point. In the text messages, Alice continued to blame her hitting me on how I had reacted previously to the constant abuse I was under, to justify her continuing to hurt me physically for things like jokes or talking to the cat. If Alice didn't have a reason for why she'd hit me, she would say it was because I had done something previously to deserve it, like in these messages. Alice says she pushed me away because it was my fault, and all I do is call her names. But that is not at all what happened, or how this argument took place. I would get upset after I was pushed, slapped, or punched. I was horrible to Alice on many occasions, and I deeply regret this behaviour, and nothing will justify that. But the order in which these events have been portrayed as false, as Alice is once again ignoring that she had tried to hurt me when I was just talking with our cat. I was upset and frustrated that Alice hadn't apologised for getting physical with me, and I lashed out at Alice over text, which I regret. I told Alice that this isn't what I signed up for in a relationship, and it was hard for me to follow if Alice was upset when we had been totally fine, and then suddenly she had hit me. Alice then says that I had dragged her in an argument and that I had shouted at her. I ignore this in the text messages as it was untrue, and I've covered this in this video already. Alice says I said weird shit, so she pushed me off and then told me to grow up and to cry because I was upset that she got physical with me. I pointed out that it was really strange to me that Alice knew that I was joking around with her, but was still treating me like it was okay to assault me, and that I should go and cry about her physically assaulting me. Alice then says that I was actually provoking her on purpose because I knew she didn't like it when I talked to the cat. We lived together, and the cat was ours, and creating rules like saying I can't talk to him because she was annoyed at me is unfair and unreasonable. I went on to tell Alice I was tired of being hit for just being myself. I thought we were having fun, but now I didn't know if I would be punched or pushed for just joking around, and because of this I wanted to break up, as it was clear that our relationship was not working, and we could not be together if issues this small would lead to physical violence. Alice then said she knew that I wasn't being serious, to which I told her that she shouldn't hit me. Alice then denied hitting me. I did not expect Alice to admit it, as I become used to Alice completely downplaying and excusing being physically abusive in our relationship and mocking me whilst continuing to call me delusional. As shown in this video, Alice has lied and hidden physically abusing me on multiple different occasions, like she's doing here in these text messages. I then told Alice I had to stop the conversation, and it was never okay for me to make personal jabs at Alice. Alice had found out that I had told my friends about the physical abuse because I had leaked my messages to her.
The reason why I skipped that is because, like, everything he's saying, every single thing he is saying about abuse, blah, 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 like, we've seen all the crazy shit. And her response was, wait, why is my, what the fuck? Her response was, I was reactionarily abusive, which means she did hurt him. She did emotionally abuse him. She already admitted this. So, like, him recapping, saying that she caused all this, just, like, she proved it before you, bro. Like, she proved all this before. That's why I said I don't know why you're back. Like,
and because of this, Alice claimed I was making up a contradictory story to hers to release publicly on my own accord. She does not mention that I was responding to lies that I'm a convicted abuser that she had posted on her TikTok publicly, and that she had been going through and following my friends months after we had broken up, trying to get their attention to spread this lie, which ended up with my friends asking me to explain this to them after seeing the TikToks that Alice was posting online. I was reacting to Alice's public posts and lies about me, but Alice has hidden that she was constantly harassing me to make it seem like I'd gone out of my way to talk badly about her for no reason, when in reality Alice was trying to isolate me and antagonizing me into responding to her for months. When Alice had received the messages from my friends, she accused me of lying. Alice said if I told people she hit me in our relationship that she would sue me, even though I was sharing privately that her posts alleging that I was a convicted criminal were untrue. Alice then proceeded to admit to hitting me during our relationship in the same conversation where she threatened to sue me for telling people that she had been hitting me. Alice then excused this behaviour by telling me it's okay for women to hit men if they are being an asshole. Alice mocked me for complaining about the physical abuse, as she believed it was justified, and then told me that if I wanted it to stop, I should make a public apology towards her. Alice told me if she wanted to expose me publicly that she would have posted a document about me. I later found out when my ex-girlfriend Jess messaged me that Alice had told Jess that she had been building a folder on me since January. Alice had stayed in contact with me for months where she antagonized me, threatened me, and continued to mentally abuse me so that she could knowingly put my reactions into her document that she had started building in January. Alice said that it wasn't like she had named me in these posts or made a video about me, but she had responded and deleted comments on videos she posted saying it was about me and that I was on Claire's law, which again is a lie. My friends saw the TikToks Alice had been posting online as she had gone through and followed them all after our breakup. Me and my friends had a call where I answered questions about my relationship, and I told my side of the story where I explained that Alice had been physically abusing me throughout our relationship. I made it clear that I did not believe that this was an excuse for my behaviour, and that our relationship was toxic and it was not good for either of us, and that I was ashamed of how I had behaved. A friend of mine at the time, a YouTuber who goes by the name of Inabber, had messaged me in our group chat encouraging me to share more stories and all the evidence I had of Alice's abuse. He told me I could trust him, and that because we were friends, that they weren't going to share any of it anywhere, and that it would remain private after I made it clear that I was worried that it would be leaked. Alice messaged me with direct screenshots from the private conversation that I had with Inabber and my friends. Alice had been sent screenshots from our private conversation, and it was clear that if I talked to anyone, she would know she was following as many of my friends as possible. Alice said I shouldn't be lying about her hitting me, and that she would sue me, but as I've already covered in these texts earlier in this video, she then went on to admit to hitting me in these messages and in her document. Alice made it clear to me that I couldn't talk to anyone about what I had experienced, and she was now contacting all my friends and isolating me completely, which is exactly what I feared she would do, as she had made it clear that there was nobody I could talk to who she couldn't reach, and she was sending me my own conversations so that I would know that I couldn't get away from her or talk about what had happened with anyone, including my friends, as they were going to leak my messages to her. When Alice's document was posted, I never posted various stories and a document about me that contains many statements that are false. I never had messaged YouTube commentary channels after our conversation where I privately entrusted him with my abuse story, even though he told me that what I shared with him would remain private. According to the YouTuber Samuel, I never told him that I had refused to answer
watch this.
abuse story, even though he told me that what I shared with him
is this Inabber?
would remain private. YouTube commentary posted, I never posted various stories and a document about me that contains many statements that are false. I never had messaged YouTube commentary channels after our conversation where I privately entrusted him with my abuse story, even though he told me that what I shared with him would remain private.
He didn't even make a video, so like, who gives a fuck? Oh, I could give less of a fuck. Ah, dude, I just thirst for battle. I thirst for battle. I just think you need to show us those texts you mentioned.
private. According to the YouTuber Samuel, I never told him that I had refused to answer any of his questions despite us having an hour call and there being various messages and a conversation disproving this, as it was leaked directly to Alex.
And he dropped the whole document of you
come in
doing
to say
it.
that I spoke to Alice, the ex of Alex, and I've also spoke to Inaba. According to Inaba as well, Alex has sort of ignored people, like ignored everybody, sort of gone into like a recluse, not messaging anyone back, not even messaging Inaba back about their podcast that recently failed. Nothing like that.
I was incredibly confused as I did not understand why these people had been told lies about what happened when Fraser had told me that I could trust him with talking to him about the abuse I had gone through and that it would remain between us because we were friends. I never posted on his Instagram story that I had refused to talk about this and has shared messages of him discussing my relationship with other people. He says, but the man never wanted to discuss it with us ever. I had spoken to Fraser on a few occasions about how I was struggling with Alice and how it was upsetting me, which directly contradicts what Fraser has posted publicly on his Instagram stories. Fraser wrote, we thought they were still together or seeing each other, lol, and that he suspected that we kept breaking up. After I finally felt like I could talk about this when I believed Alice had left me alone, I opened up to him that the last 4 months had been very hard for me. Fraser never shows him asking me about Alice or any of my messages to him, as it would show that he was lying, as I was the one who had tried to arrange a call with him privately after I had been confiding in him of the issues I had surrounding Alice. Fraser wrote, the dude never discussed personal stuff with us, lol, solely just YouTube and games. But Alice had full access to my phone when we were together and was threatening me after our breakup if I mentioned anything to anyone, like she has done after these messages I had with Fraser were leaked. And I did open up fully and honestly about what had been going on for that year when I asked him to call and in the messages that he has cropped out. I had asked him to call multiple times, and I told him that I was free to speak to him whenever. I tried to arrange multiple calls to talk about the situation, as you can see in these messages on Facebook. I was willing to answer questions even after my messages had been leaked. In the live stream, Samuel says that I was a recluse, but I went home because Fraser had told me that I should go see my parents and that I should take time off from the internet. To say I didn't attempt to talk to him about this is a barefaced lie. I understand him not wanting to be involved. I am not his responsibility, and he should not have to answer for my own personal problems just because we were once friends. However, what has been posted publicly is not true, and therefore I believe it is only right that I correct this. Fraser has intentionally cropped our messages that he posted on his Instagram story to portray a version of events which is not true. Since the conversation me and Fraser had, where I made it very clear in the messages that I had been at fault, Fraser has lied that I tried to claim that I was a victim. In reality, I explained that it was complicated and that I had been at fault, and that our relationship was very different from what Alice had posted publicly that they had seen. In a document I never posted responding to allegations that were made against him by his ex-girlfriend Kirsty, I never made a series of comments about me. Fraser claims that I am a widely disliked content creator, and I have been since 2019, and that he only remained friends with me because he is a loyal person. I find this rather odd, as Fraser told me that I could trust him, and that he wouldn't talk to anyone, and then spoke to strangers with YouTube channels that interviewed him, and then shared what he'd said about me publicly. Fraser goes on to then downplay our friendship, as Kirsty accuses him of openly admitting to her that he was only ever friends with me so he could use me to further his career, as he benefited from me. I would like to make it clear for context that I didn't know Kirst personally, and I only ever met her on one occasion. To make posts where she acts like she knew me in any way, shape or form personally is odd when our paths only crossed on one occasion. Fraser denies this by claiming that my YouTube channel has been on a decline since 2019, and that I am no longer relevant, mentioning that I was a widely disliked content creator, so it couldn't be possible that he was using me. For someone who apparently wasn't using me, I never seem to have a lot of knowledge about my relevancy in YouTube statistics over a 5-year period, as shown in his statement. Fraser claims that I was always disliked, and that he was seen as an idiot for being friends with me, and then he wrote this in this paragraph. As you can see, this allegation is really strange to me. Yes, I regret being friends with Alex, but the suggestion I benefit with him is actually quite wild to me, considering it was a public thing how disliked he was. I actually was seen as a bit of an idiot for remaining friends with him, and truthfully that's a fair criticism. These statements confused me as Fraser asked me personally if I wanted to start a podcast with him. I said yes because I believed that we were friends, and that he was asking me because we had been for years, as we had spent a lot of time together. Fraser writes in his document that we only saw each other walking his dog for the most part, and in mid-2023 we started gaming a lot more together and speaking way more than we usually did, and that obviously led to us making a podcast that lasted 4 episodes. October 2023 is around the time I moved out of London, and to suggest that we became friends after the fact is disingenuous. We had hung out regularly since we became friends in 2018, and we used to go on holiday abroad together. We had also kept in contact just as much when I moved away. To portray our friendship as only being a recent thing is just completely untrue. Fraser's statement is also incorrect, as we have actually also done 5 episodes of our podcast instead of the 4 that Fraser wrote in his document. Fraser travelled over an hour to visit me a month before Alice posted her TikToks and stayed at my house with friends as I had moved outside of London. In our own podcast, Fraser says that we would talk every day, which is why we decided to start the podcast in the first place. I've been a big fan of podcasts that go on and are just super casual between friends, and there's like 150 episodes.
But that's why I feel like this isn't going to be like your last venture, because for one, you've always done it high budget, which is not like a thing to criticise, but it's like this is on Discord, like, and we speak to each other. We speak to each other every day. We're on calls, so like, there's no reason for us. It makes sense for us. We talk about YouTube all the time. We're always speaking about things going on. It makes sense to just get on camera like once or twice a week and just speak about it on a long form, hour to 2 hour thing.
After our call, Fraser didn't reach out to me at any point. I asked him if he leaked our messages, and when I saw the clip where Samuel claimed that Fraser had told him that I had been avoiding him the entire time, which as you could see was at no point true. Fraser posted on his Instagram story that I refused to share the private messages I had with Alice with him, but the reason that I didn't share them is because I was worried that they would be leaked, which is exactly what happened after I spoke to him. Fraser posted that he believed I might sue him for posting these stories, but I have no intention of doing so, and there would be no reason to worry if what he posted was actually true. Alice had followed everyone in my friendship circle months after our breakup, and was using my friends to gather information on me by posting videos that were intended to get a reaction out of me by falsely claiming that I am a convicted criminal. Alice wanted to find out what I would say to defend myself to my friends so that she could build the document backwards from this to make it look like I was lying. If Alice hadn't continued to harass me privately and publicly, I would never have had to tell my friends that she had been abusing me throughout our relationship, but due to the constant harassment I was left with no choice. Alice wouldn't only just threaten me privately, but would also threaten me when we went out in public. Alice had threatened to punch me in the street and then it began shouting at me. I walked away from Alice as soon as she had threatened me, and this is the text conversation that we had as I was walking away from her. I told Alice that she had gone too far by shouting that she would punch me in public because we had had a small disagreement about me visiting her house, as Alice had told me that she was embarrassed and she thought that I would leave her if I went over and saw her family and where she lived. Alice sent me these messages and then said that she had done nothing wrong. I told her I didn't know if I wanted to come over anymore, as she had just threatened to hit me in public. Alice had shouted that she was going to hit me so loudly that I got a comment from someone who had seen me walking away after Alice had shouted at me, which I sent to her on iMessage. Not only did Alice threaten me throughout our relationship, but she also blackmailed me throughout the entire time we were together and afterwards. Alice has written in her document that after our breakup, I begged for her to come back, and I also sent gifts and a letter to convince Alice to get back with me because I wanted her to forgive me. But this is not an accurate version of what had happened, and it is a lot more complicated than Alice has portrayed. She had intentionally lied and left out hundreds of messages and events that do not show the reality of what was actually happening. Alice was continuously blackmailing me and had been abusing me for our entire relationship. I had tried to leave our relationship at many points, and Alice has taken this and wrote in her document that I would threaten to break up with her as a form of manipulation. This is not true, and I have shown that I tried to break up with Alice after she physically assaulted me and blackmailed me, and I stayed because she would threaten me if I tried to leave. When I told Alice I did not want to be involved with her anymore after we broke up, she began posting online the lie that I had a criminal record and that I was on Claire's law. Alice then started posting TikToks about me, and this led to the situation that she orchestrated when she began to follow all of my friends after we had broken up, so that I couldn't escape her. At one point, Alice told me that she wanted me to plan something soon, and then she said I should make her dinner. This is completely contradictory to the claims Alice has made in her document, where she says she had no interest in talking to me, as in reality, she was emotionally manipulating me and blackmailing me while she was writing a document on me at the same time, trying to dismantle my life. Alice accuses me of being manipulative after our breakup, even though when I tried to end things, Alice threatened to call the police and lie about me if I didn't back down. Alice said that I am the one who asked her to dinner, when I showed in these messages it was Alice who asked me, and Alice has constantly accused me of doing the things that she has done in her document. Alice would continually emotionally abuse me and manipulate me whilst threatening me so that she could build her document on me, which she has constantly lied in. Alice complained that after she had moved out, I didn't seem panicked enough and sent me this text message. I moved out. I thought your mind would be more panicked that I won't come back. Alice also sent me text saying she had left because she wanted me to know what it's like to be without her. We had many conversations about getting back together, and when I realized I was being emotionally manipulated and blackmailed by Alice, I tried to break it off on multiple occasions. This is when Alice began to start posting about me and following friends and making threats. Alice has written in her document that I'd refollow girls I had slept with, and that I told her I was going to refollow everyone that I had unfollowed for her. Alice had gone through and isolated me from my friends throughout our relationship, and was even stalking me after our breakup. I sent her this message to show that she was no longer in control of me and could no longer make me stop talking to my friends. Although we had been broken up for months at this point, Alice was still messaging me about the girls that I had followed on Instagram or friends that I had refollowed. Alice sent me this message saying that any girl that I speak to would...
I'm sorry I haven't said anything. I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, like, lying, manipulation, he's done this. Cheating, I guess I'd be interested about cheating.
This, once again, is a lie. The entire conversation Alice references here is about cheating, and this is why she doesn't include or show the tweet and the hundreds of text messages that prove that she is lying once again, as she gaslit me and insulted me for hours, and is now trying to make people believe an entirely different story. After our first date, Alice liked a tweet from a follower that said they could treat her better. As you can see from the screenshot of this conversation, I was not trying to control Alice. I was asking why she had liked a tweet that I felt that was disrespectful, and was telling her it made me uncomfortable when I was trying to resolve the issue. At no point did I tell Alice that unlike fans' tweets, as that was not at all what our conversation was about, and I didn't make any demands or threats like Alice had claimed about her fans. I sent Alice the screenshot of her likes as it came up on my timeline. Alice was instantly dismissive, and then told me that she had done nothing wrong after she had started to ignore my messages. Alice then said she had liked more tweets, and that she didn't care, and said bye to try and end the conversation. Told Alice how it made me feel, and that I didn't like that she wasn't taking how I felt into consideration. Alice told me it wasn't a big deal, and then began to ignore me. This would happen often when I bring up any issues with Alice. She would stonewall me to discourage me of trying to talk about any issues that I had. When I told her again it was disrespectful, Alice dismissed me. Alice then started telling me 80% of her DMs were people saying that they could treat her right, which didn't make me feel reassured at all. I didn't feel like Alice was trying to help. I started to feel like Alice intentionally wanted me to feel insecure. Alice says I am the one doing this and not her, and blames me for even bringing it up in the first place, as if I had started this argument when I was reacting to something that Alice had done that had upset me. Alice would do this often and would turn my reactions into the start point of arguments, totally ignoring what she had done that had upset me. Alice refuses to apologise again and says she had done nothing wrong. I told her it was disrespectful to do something like this publicly, and that I didn't like it. Alice replies sarcastically saying she's sorry she ruins my rep, and asked me what I want from her again. I then told Alice she was clearly trying to avoid saying anything to reassure me, as she had gone out of her way to do the opposite. Alice then claims she actually did reassure me, and then sarcastically texts me that she won't ruin my rep again. Alice then begins to mock me for wanting her to apologise, and then says sorry for liking a fan's tweet, which is not at all what I had an issue with, as Alice has tried to portray here and in her document. My issue was with the way she would treat me, and now she would have been upset if I had done something similar. Alice has lied again about why I was upset, and has hidden the hundreds of messages of me trying to have a conversation about this, and then has written in her document something that is completely untrue. Alice then tries to make me feel bad for bringing it up, and was adamant that all she had done was reassure me, and I told her that what she had done wasn't enough. Alice then starts to swear at me and insults me. This annoyed me, and I told Alice she can...
She said all she did was reassure her, and he said, you didn't do enough.
Call me when she got back, as texting was clearly not working, and as a couple, I felt that now we needed to call to settle this issue, as it had become way bigger than it needed to be, as I felt Alice was now intentionally trying to upset me. Alison says I tried to force an apology out of her.
Like, dude, all of these pictures that you're showing, like, looks bad on her, kind of, like, when you're reading it, right? It's like, call me when you're back, I'm upset, fix it. Okay, well, that looks bad on him. I'm just saying, like, her responses are like, no thanks, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Like, just leave her. But the fact that you stay with her means that, like, her side is probably true, and she was scared to leave you. Yeah, I mean, like, you... Oh my god.
But at this point, I was just upset that I felt that I had been forced into asking for one that wasn't genuine after Alice had continued to mock me. Alice then accused me of being the person who was throwing a fit and continues to downplay that I was upset that what I had seen was disrespectful and on some level a form of cheating. Alice says I heard you, to which I respond in detail with why I felt like everything Alice had done was not acceptable or an apology. I felt I was communicating clearly, but Alice mocked me again and said yes, Dad. I then got upset even more because I felt I was being belittled and mocked. Alice then sent me another sarcastic apology
yes,
when I mentioned
Dad.
again how disrespected
Crazy.
I had felt. Alice then calls me a baby and tells me she doesn't understand why I was upset at all in the first place. I told Alice I felt she was more concerned with having to say sorry than she was about me being upset, and that her response threw me massively. Alice calls me a child and immature. I admit I could have handled things better from the start, but from reading these conversations back, it's clear to me that no matter what I had done, I was going to be mocked and insulted for bringing up how I felt. I then asked Alice if she wanted to talk on call instead, as I struggled with communicating over text, and I thought that would make it easier. Alice then tells me that she's going to scream at me. Alice continues to insult me and calls me a baby again. I told her that this was not necessary and that I didn't like having to fight with Alice to be taken seriously. Alice responded by spamming me with messages. I asked her to stop, to which Alice said that all of this had happened because of how I talked to her, blaming me for the whole argument, and gaslighting me that she had actually been reassuring me from the start. I made it clear again the issues I had with the way the conversation unfolded. Alice responded with insulting me again and blaming me for why she tried to belittle me and hurt my feelings. Alice says I did not acknowledge her or her apology, but at no point had Alice apologized to me in these text messages at all in any way. Alice at first...
Wait, that was the cheating? He said that she cheated by liking... Did I forget something?
First tries to gaslight me and questions it being a sarcastic apology.
She literally
then
said,
says that it's what I wanted to
"He
hear,
can't
and proceeds
treat
to
me
gaslight
better."
me again that I have misinterpreted
Like, you
the
can
entire
see it.
conversation. I start to get annoyed at this point, as it's clear that Alice is intentionally trying to gaslight me about what had taken place. Alice then proceeded to argue with me and spam me again. Alice begins to gaslight me again to avoid apologizing, and when I tell her to read it from my perspective, she calls me Delulu. I called out Alice for gaslighting me, and she replied saying she says it how it is. Alice has gone on to write another story in her document about me, which is completely untrue. Alice writes in her document that after going through my phone, she found pictures of my ex-girlfriends on there, and this once again is a complete lie. Alice says he ended up being secretive over his phone to what I then discovered was him stalking his ex on all social platforms. In brackets, it's been years since they broke up, and found her old NSFW pictures he kept of her. He said sorry, and that was it. Alice also showed a message that says, it was never an issue before, so why is it now, in regards to going through my phone. This is because I had refused to give Alice my phone. Alice has created this story and put it in her document, despite saying on Twitter that at no point did I ever cheat, which makes no sense, as that is what she accuses me of doing throughout the entire document. Alice had complete access to my phone and social media from the moment we began dating, and the moment I tried to stop this from happening, Alice got annoyed at me, accused me of cheating, and threatened to break up with me, but has cropped these messages out of her document. Alice had full access to my phone from the moment we began dating, and would come in my room daily to check on who I'd been talking to. This started the first couple weeks into dating, after Alice slapped me because I'd been invited to a party in LA by a TikToker. I didn't respond to the message and showed it to Alice, which resulted in her still being upset at me for being in contact with any female influencers or friends. Alice told me she would only feel better if she could slap me, and if she was allowed to go through my friends list and unfollow and block people, which became a regular occurrence throughout our relationship. Alice forced me to cut contact with many girls I had known for years, and I allowed this because I did not want to be slapped over something that was easily preventable. I thought it would be easier to let Alice have access to my phone and to potentially start a fight that would end up with me being hit.
That's what I'm saying,
having
like,
my
why
phone
are you
taken because
allowing
I'd be
yourself to get
accused of cheating on
slapped?
Alice,
Like, I'm
even
gonna be
though I
honest
never
with you,
replied to
bro.
these messages.
I'm either leaving my girl, or if she's like beating the fuck out of me, I'm beating the fuck out of her. I'm tired of this like mentality of, oh, she's a woman. If she's beating the fuck out of you, like you're saying, leave her or make sure she gets out of your house. Like, don't let people hurt you, bro. Like, you're saying this shit, but like, I don't fucking believe it, and two, just shut the fuck. I don't fuck you, bro.
In the
Just fuck
instance that
you.
Alice
I'm
is
over
referring
this.
to,
I'm just
I
listening to this
refused to
just
give
so I
her my
can
phone
upload.
because I'd reached out
Whatever.
to a friend of mine and I
I'm
told her that
skipping
Alice
through
had been
this bitch
hitting me,
too.
and that I didn't know what to do about it. She had threatened and blackmailed me, and I had tried to leave our relationship. Alice had tried to grab my phone out of my hand,
trying to
which is
remember
why she
what
sent
the
me these
fuck.
text messages. Alice would come in my room, take my phone off me on random occasions daily to go through my socials, which she admits to in this document. I hadn't deleted the messages of my friend, so I refused to give Alice my phone because I knew if she found out I had told anyone about the abuse, things would get worse. In the text Alice shows in the document, she leaves out that I said she could come and take my phone if she wanted it. Alice then threatens to leave me if I don't let her look at my phone, after calling me guilty for holding onto it when she tried to take it out of my hand by force. Alice accused me of cheating and stalking my ex-girlfriends because I would no longer give her access to my phone. On this occasion where I held onto my phone, Alice tried to take it out of my hand and then pushed me when I refused. To make it clear, I acknowledged
It's like one of those things where it's like, hey, if someone accuses you and you're just not like, yeah, take my phone and look through it, then chances are you might... Oh, shit. I was like, chances are you might... Oh, what the fuck? chances are you might be guilty. We got some bears and some cats.
No point had access to Alice's phone, and I'd never asked for it. For our entire relationship, Alice had full access to my phone, went through my following and text messages, and would threaten me and hit me if I refused to hand over my phone or unfollow people who I knew. If I refused, she would take my phone later that day and unfollow them anyway. Alice would accuse me of cheating because she knew I would hand her my phone to show her that I hadn't been. I find it incredibly confusing that Alice has accused me of controlling behaviour when Alice has openly admitted in this document to having full access to my phone to the point where she has written a story about me where she was upset that I refused to let her take it off of me as if I was the abusive one for not letting her have it. Alice wrote in her document that time passed and small things became huge issues which were over Discord at first. Alex felt that because I am home all day and work from home that I would be able to call 24/7 and completely shut out any other social interactions I have with my friends. To avoid that, I invited him into my groups and I stopped working as much. This is untrue. Alice had told me that she wanted to quit her job as an OnlyFans model. It was her idea and not mine. The arguments about work stemmed from many things. We would both insult each other and belittle each other. Our relationship was horrifically toxic, and none of this is acceptable. Alice had willingly invited me into our friendship circle to play games with her and her friends, and I had invited Alice into mine. Alice would insult me when I was working, and would insult my friends when I would play games with them, and accuse me of not spending any time with her. We were both incredibly toxic, petty, and mean to each other. And painting this behaviour as one-sided is unfair and untrue. We had both behaved despicably, and the more time we spent with each other, the more toxic our relationship became. After I moved in with Alice, Alice wouldn't let me go see any of my friends, and when I was invited to a party, Alice told me that I couldn't go. Me and Alice argued in person about my invite to this party, and Alice told me that I couldn't go because I had responsibilities, although at the time I had nothing planned and I was not aware that I had something to do on that weekend. The more the conversation went on, the more Alice told me that I would have to deal with the consequences if I went, and it made me very much feel like I was not allowed to go. Alice then began to guilt trip me and tried to make me feel bad for ever suggesting that I wanted to go to see my friends in the first place. When the party ended up happening, I didn't go, and all of the things that Alice said that I would have to be responsible for didn't happen, as it was not true, and it was simply being used as a way to keep me from going to the party. Throughout the time we lived together, Alice had friends and family around on multiple occasions, but I was not allowed to do the same. Alice was going through my phone and cutting me off from people I knew and would argue with me if I spent time in my office working or talking to the few friends that I had left. I had chosen to live near Alice and her family because that's what she wanted. But when I wanted to see my friends and family, Alice would make excuses for why I couldn't leave the house. Alice has posted in her document that I didn't ask her to move in and that I just assumed that she would. Not only do I find this accusation odd, it is also completely untrue. Alice's mum drove us to viewings together, and it was something that we had been planning for months. I did multiple viewings with Alice, and we ended up picking a house together and moving in with each other, which would not be possible if I hadn't passed because we were both on the lease. This is something that we had mutually discussed, and I do not understand why Alice has written this. Alice says in her document that she told me she was scared to move in, and has screenshotted this exact text message in real time so that it could be used to build her document that she had been writing throughout our
It
relationship.
says Alice lies about living together. Let me slam this. Did she not kick you out of your bed at one point?
Alice had messaged me this after all the viewing from her document. Alice has also gone on to accuse me of kicking her in her document, but what she has written is a completely false version of events. Alice says in her document that on her way out of the kitchen, I kicked her in the back, and that she turned away and said nothing. This story has been changed many times since this argument took place. When it happened, Alice texted me saying that I had only stuck a leg out. This is because I never kicked Alice, and her story has been greatly exaggerated to make me look like I've been physical with Alice throughout our relationship instead of her. Alice texted me recalling events after she had left, as we had texted each other about the argument that we had just had, and it's not at all what she has written in her document. Alice has taken this and then gone on to accuse me of kicking her in future arguments when it's not at all what happened. Go through my phone and hit me during our arguments.
Do you or someone you know possibly have borderline personality disorder? Here are the key features. An intense fear of abandonment, even going to extreme measures to avoid it, whether it's real or just imagined. A pattern of unstable, intense relationships, such as idealizing someone one minute, and then as soon as that person falls short on something, seeing them as totally bad. Rapid changes in self-identity and self-image, sometimes even shifting their goals, shifting their values, or viewing themselves as bad, or sometimes even feeling as if they don't exist at all. Periods of paranoia that seem to be related to being stressed, and a loss of contact with reality, which can last from a few minutes to a few hours. Impulsive and risky behaviors that are fun in the moment but have a high chance of danger, such as gambling, reckless driving, unsafe sex, spending sprees, binge eating, drug abuse, or even sabotaging success by quitting a good job or ending a positive relationship. Suicidal threats or suicidal behavior, or even self-injury, often in response to the person fearing separation or abandonment. Wide mood swings that can last from a few hours to a few days.
Is he using his mental illness as an excuse or something?
Ongoing feelings of emptiness. And here's the kicker. Inappropriate, intense anger, such as losing their temper, being sarcastic or bitter, or even getting involved in physical fights. If you or someone you know is exhibiting a lot of these signs a lot of the time, it might be borderline personality disorder.
Alice had sent me this as an explanation for her behaviour because I did not understand why she had been hitting me and insulting me from what seemingly came from nowhere. Alice told me that she had a mental illness, and that was why she was having these issues, and she wanted me to understand. I told Alice I didn't like the TikTok as she had sent it to me out of the blue, and that I would have preferred to have a proper conversation about something that was this serious. Alice says I was making her feel bad about her being her, and that I should know this stuff about her. I told her it was not something that I worried about, as I wanted to reassure Alice that it was something that we could talk about, and that I could understand it. To be clear, I was not diagnosed with BPD at the time of this conversation. I told Alice that it makes me anxious receiving a video unprompted about our relationship saying that she would see me as entirely bad if I fall short, as I felt that that was a lot of pressure to put on someone when the reactions to my shortcomings were for Alice to become more controlling and physically abusive. I took it personally, and looking back on these messages, I should have handled this a lot better. I felt that I was being told that I could no longer speak up in our relationship, so I was being told that every issue was the result of this mental illness. I was worried that if I tried to talk about my problems, it would upset Alice or trigger her. After Alice told me that she had BPD, I chalked down a lot of the reactions and responses I was getting to Alice's mental illness. To see it not mentioned at all in the document, and to see Alice describe herself as an empath, is something that deeply confuses me, as it is not what I had been told throughout our relationship. Alice has also written a story about her birthday, where she accuses me of cancelling it. Alice wrote that he ended up cancelling coming to see me on my birthday, in brackets, or forgot it, and went to see Star Wars with his friend instead of seeing me. When I told him it was my birthday, he ended up going out after the movie to grab a gift, and eventually came to my place at midnight. I spent the whole day waiting for him. He invalidates my feelings after I suddenly got upset about it, and tried to justify it by hanging out properly before my birthday came. Everything that Alice has written about this is a lie. I did not forget Alice's birthday or cancel
Went to
it.
go hang out
The
with
text
his
messages from the day
friends.
say that what Alice has written here is untrue. I was booked into a Star Wars premiere by my management, and I texted Alice straight away and made her aware that I was working earlier in the day, but that I could come over late. We hadn't arranged anything at this point, and there were no prior plans. I was telling Alice when I was available, and that I had work booked earlier in that day. I thought it was completely ordinary to go from work to see Alice on her birthday. I did not forget or cancel it. I did the opposite as shown in these messages, and I made plans a week in advance. Alice has written that I tried to arrange hanging out properly to justify apparently forgetting her birthday, even though the conversation was about her birthday and making plans for seeing her. This has nothing to do with Alice's birthday. I was simply telling her I wanted to hang out properly that day because the previous day we hadn't talked for very long. Alice then says I went to see a movie, but this is unfair as it was scheduled for work, and I was transparent about this. It was never made apparent to me that Alice was upset about this or that this was at any point an issue. I had to attend work so I could pay for everything, especially due to the situation I was in financially with my YouTube network. Alice has said that I bought her a single gift after seeing the movie, and that I eventually came to hers at midnight. I called Alice at 1 past midnight, the moment it had become her birthday, and I know this because I sent a picture of me calling Alice on iMessage, and we then spoke on Discord where I wished her happy birthday. Not only did I also text Alice throughout the day before I had left to see her, I wished her happy birthday on the text messages again for the second time after our call earlier in the morning. I had also bought Alice gifts in advance and wrapped them, and she knows this because I had already showed her that I had wrapped them before. It's not possible that I forgot Alice's birthday and only got one gift when I had sent her a picture of her presents that I had wrapped, and conveniently, this has been left out of the document because it doesn't fit the story that Alice has created. Alice says that I cancelled her birthday and that she had to tell me it was her birthday because I had forgotten it, but this is not true. I had sent text to Alice about being excited to see her on her birthday, and that I had gone out to get her some more gifts on the day of her birthday to add to the ones I had already bought her and wrapped. I texted her asking for her wrist size for the bracelet that I was buying her as an add-on to the presents that I had already wrapped and ordered online. Alice says that she had spent the whole day waiting for me, but we texted the entire day. She was completely aware of when I was going to arrive and what my schedule with work was. I asked Alice to send me her address so that I could walk from the station, and then proceeded to send her a photograph of me carrying the bag of gifts that I had bought for her as I walked to her house. I did see Alice on her birthday as we had planned. I did not buy her one last-minute gift on the way from work as I brought everything with me. I went directly from work to see Alice as we had planned, and when I arrived everything was fine, and there was no complaints about this, because once again, it was exactly as we had arranged. The entire paragraph that Alice has written about her birthday is a complete lie. I was confused when I read this originally, as everything was so clearly a provable lie. I believe this was written because Alice had forgotten my birthday, and I complained about this on text when it happened, and because of this, Alice has written a story to make it seem like I had forgotten hers instead. Alice has also written in a document about the time that she had told me that she had been sexually assaulted in the past. Alice wrote that we ended up going on holiday together to Italy in July, and an argument came about when he was watching a video about a girl being hypersexual after trauma. I opened up to him about my essay and the trauma that I've been through myself. In response to this, he tells me he doesn't want to know what has been done to me by other guys, and I ended up leaving into another room crying. He threatened to leave and get a flight back on his own, taking into account this was my only third time abroad, and he knew that it would make me very upset and scared, like he knew I needed him there with me. Bring up weird shit on our first holiday, you ruin every moment, I have no fond memories with you. I spoke about something I had gone through with the trauma, opening up to him about my experience of SA, and this is how he responded. This is not what happened at all. I was scrolling through TikTok and watching a video because I was about to record, when Alice, who was standing behind me out of nowhere, told me that she had slept with many people due to hypersexuality. The video I was watching was not about sexual trauma at all, so I was massively taken aback with this comment, and thought it was an odd thing to say on the first day of our holiday. I was not really sure what to say as a response, so I told Alice that I didn't like how she had brought this up, and I didn't think it was the best way to start a conversation about something as serious and delicate as this. She didn't open up to me about being sexually assaulted. I was not even aware of the conversation and what it was about, as Alice had only made a passing comment about hypersexuality and her previous partners. After I'd finished work, I went to the bedroom to talk to her.
She tells everyone else the same story, but then she tells you differently. Like, she's got to be a crazy manipulative
Alice then
person.
told me that I should sleep on the sofa.
Let's
I was
just
more
wait
than
for her
willing
to
to
do it
talk about
again, I
whatever
guess.
Alice wanted to, and I apologized for upsetting her. When I mentioned again that I was not annoyed, I was just surprised by what she had said. She told me she didn't care, pushed me, and told me to sleep in the other room. I sent Alice that message because I was incredibly defeated at the time. There was only so much fighting and physical abuse that I could take, and it had been constant for months. I was angry and upset about her pushing me constantly. It had nothing to do with the conversation about sexual assault that Alice has referenced in this document. I believe Alice has created this false version of events due to a conversation that we had after we had broken up, as Alice has started to use personal stories that I had told her to torment me. I had confided in Alice about being sexually assaulted when we had begun dating, and after our breakup, Alice had blackmailed me and was using my reactions to build a document. So she started to follow people that I knew and had personal connections with to try and trigger a reaction from me. Alice followed the person who I had told her had sexually assaulted me in the hopes that I would react. I was incredibly upset that Alice was using something deeply personal that I had told her about in confidence as a way to get to me. Alice messaged me saying that I knew why, and then went on to clarify that she did this because she was upset with me. We continued to talk about it, and this is when Alice told me that I should have fought back. I've blurred the names as I have no interest in making this a public matter, and I have no intention to discuss this publicly beyond this, as I hoped it would remain private between us. But Alice has since used this to try and hurt me, and has accused me of doing exactly what she had been doing intentionally to induce a mental breakdown that she could use for her document. Alice has still been harassing me online to this day, and has begun to go after other people that she believes are friends with me. Alice posted a series of comments on TikTok, claiming that every YouTuber who has similar thumbnails is working with me or for me. Fabricating stories that I am employed by any YouTuber who makes commentary videos is ridiculous and untrue. I have seen recently that multiple YouTubers have made videos on my former editor, Danky Jabo. They've accused him of being mentored by me, and they claim that we are friends. Because of this accusation, Danky Jabo has lost over 11,000 subscribers. The reason this rumor began is because Alice messaged the YouTuber known as Cataclysm and told her that a friend of hers had messaged Danky Jabo because he still followed me, and this can be found in a video that Cataclysm has deleted.
Standing by somebody who has been outed as an abuser, or who you know is an abuser, just because Alex has done, for example, a little bit for you and helped your career, you're a scumbag. You're an enabler, and you don't genuinely believe in what you're talking about. A little example I have here is I received a screenshot from Alice, which was one of Alice's friends in contact with a content creator called Danky Jabo. Basically, Danky Jabo got a DM from someone who Alice knows, Alice being Imallexx's ex-girlfriend, saying, "Is there a reason you still follow and work for an abusive piece of shit?" To which Jesse, Danky Jabo, replied and said, "I'm so sorry, mate. I'll unfollow the annoying orange right now."
Because one of Alice's friends decided to reach out to him and ask why, if it was an accident, if he meant to unfollow him, or if he just didn't know what was going on.
I do not understand why my ex-girlfriend and her apparent friends have been messaging people who still follow.
Hold up. This dude,
Meant to unfollow him, or
why does he have a fan blowing his hair in the wind, bro? Why? Why are you... Bread tubers, bro. Oh, I feel like I'm just brain rotting. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just making noises. I feel like Oompaville. Am I turning into Oompa? Is this what Oompa did? Is this how Oompa lost his fucking mind? Hey, I do have his candy somewhere. Yeah, here. It's dirty as fuck now. Hey. Shout out Sour Boys, bro. Shout out Sour Boys. That shit was gas, actually. That shit was fire. I'm not gonna lie to you.
if he just didn't know what was going on.
I do not understand why my ex-girlfriend and her apparent friends have been messaging people who still follow me 8 months after I've stopped posting entirely and over a year since we have broken up. Alice to this day is trying to interfere with my personal life by attempting to isolate me, going as far as harassing people because she believes that we know each other. Alice went after my friends and is now scouting my social media and encouraging YouTubers to expose people based on whether they follow my inactive social media accounts. Alice took the DM that she claimed a friend had sent her from Danky Jabo and sent it to Cataclysm, who then proceeded to make various posts and YouTube videos claiming that Danky Jabo was a misogynist, an abuse apologist, and even hearted a comment claiming that he could be a future sexual assaulter.
From the moment I ignored her offer to join call with her and her friends, she had begun randomly messaging me unwarranted, hateful messages whenever she felt like it. Not only that, but she was also hearting comments on her YouTube channel that accused me of being a potential sexual assaulter. The fact that either of you act as though you were trying to be fair at any point, that you were trying to be respectful at any point, is honestly laughable.
Cataclysm posted that she wanted to expose someone so bad. This was a tweet made before Cataclysm had uploaded any video or live stream about Danky Jabo, who she then went on to expose by revealing this DM that Alice had sent her, claiming that this was proof that we knew each other. Alice responded to the tweet that Cataclysm made.
So wait, is this confirming that dude's still friends with him?
That she couldn't expose Danky Jabo for legal reasons. Cataclysm then made tweets about Danky Jabo that were negative, that Alice retweeted and shared. These tweets can no longer be found, as Cataclysm has deleted her Twitter account after Danky Jabo's response video. Alice has not only continued to harass me for the last year, but has now gone after my former editor and tried to cancel him because she created a conspiracy that he is a friend of mine and that we work with each other. This has led to him being slandered and harassed online by various content creators who have now apologized because of this lie that she had started. Other YouTubers have also claimed that because our thumbnails were similar, we must be friends.
One of the only pieces of evidence that they show are that our thumbnails are similar.
You can even tell the blatant mentoring through the exact same thumbnail design. They use the exact same thumbnail design. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just more proof that he mentored him or taught him his ways.
This is also a point made by both Cataclysm and an actual old friend of Alex and Jake Bozz, who was previously featured on his channel before.
When Alex stopped posting because of everything that happened, Jesse then started posting very much in the style of Alex, with Alex's thumbnails, etc., etc.
Coincidentally, your thumbnails seems to be only since he's quit. Your thumbnails have started getting a lot more like Alex's, which is weird. Why would you only just start doing that now, coincidentally, when he stops uploading?
However, the great irony of this point is that the very thumbnails on the streams that my thumbnails are being criticized on are the exact thumbnail style that somehow prove that Alex is mentoring me.
These YouTubers accuse Danky Jabo of being mentored by me based on his style of thumbnails. But Jake Bozz and Cataclysm have also taken my thumbnail style and used it in the very videos where they attempt to cancel him, after making multiple videos calling me an abuser.
And not only that, but Cataclysm still continues to use the very thumbnails that she's criticizing me for to this day. By that logic, is she also being mentored by Alex? No, obviously not, because it's just a YouTube thumbnail. And like I said, I haven't spoken to Alex since my last payment from him. He has nothing to do with my channel.
Take my thumbnail style after calling me an abuser, whilst attacking another content creator for doing the same, is ridiculous and unfair, especially when the goal was to try and ruin somebody's YouTube career.
You would not have made this many baseless accusations against me that do not accurately represent the conversations that took place between us. You wouldn't excitedly be tweeting about how much you wanted to expose me, and you wouldn't be saying shit like this on stream.
And it makes me feel like sad. Like I just want to log into his channel and delete it. Like it needs to be deleted.
Another ridiculous piece of evidence that they use is that I still follow Imallexx's Instagram account.
Also, what some people have noticed, which is what Katie alluded to in a video as well, is that Danky Jabo is still following Alex. So this is true. If I had a look earlier before the stream, so Danky Jabo is following Alex and he's still followed by Alex as well. So they're still around each other. That's what I do know.
Apparently, and still now, Jesse followed and still follows Imallexx.
Now, Danky Jabba was still following Alex.
If our thumbnails being the same and someone following me means that I am mentoring them, then why until a few weeks ago did Cataclysm still follow me on TikTok and use my thumbnail style? This does not mean that we are friends, or that I am mentoring
Did he
Cataclysm.
not?
I find it ridiculous that this has been used to prove that I'm friends with people, and the same people saying this are doing the exact same. Cataclysm also went on
Say
to
that
a
you were
live
friends
stream
with
where she
him?
made
You said
claims
you were
about
friends
me
with him.
that are untrue.
Alex said stuff about me, and I didn't even know him. Like, Alex was like cocky as shit because, like, I followed Alex for quite a long time, and Alex made a comment being like, oh, I should probably follow her back at some point, and he made some weird comment, like, as if, like, I don't know, it was just weird. It was, like, kind of patronizing.
I had followed Katie on Twitter, and we had interacted once, and she wished me a happy birthday. I did not follow Katie back on Instagram because Alice had accused me of getting close with Katie, even though we had never called or spoken outside of this.
The whole thing of, like, following, oh, he's still following this guy. Like, I don't give a fuck, but, like, okay. So, if I'm following a bunch of people on Instagram and I become famous, right, I would like my audience to tell me the bad things that they do, and then I'll just unfollow them. So that's why I understand why this is a little weird, because this guy's, like, on purpose not unfollowing him. It's just like, bro, you know that this guy's a horrible person. Why are you not doing that? But the weird thing is like, why does the follow thing matter so much? Like, after you call it out, I get it, but
It's the end. I sent this to
following
Alice to show that we
it's just
only
so
ever had one
cringe. I don't know,
interaction
it's
to
just
prove that I
like,
was not
what if I'm not
involved
on
in
social media a
Cataclysm in
lot?
any way. These
You know?
messages were 2 months after we had broken up, as Alice was still monitoring my social media activity and friendship circle and trying to prevent me from being friends with anyone, something that she is still doing to this day. I would like to apologise to Danky Jabo. My actions are not something that he is responsible for, and I apologise that I did not respond sooner. For the last year, I have been in and out of hospital, and this
you
greatly
didn't do
delayed my
anything bad,
response.
then what are you
I was unable to
apologising
make a video
for?
at this time, and that is why it's taken me so long to address this. In this time, Alice has posted many things about me that are untrue, and has posted this TikTok that people believe is in reference to me.
Don't ask me about my ex, let's just pretend that nigga died. Ain't no pressure by no nigga, tell his ass to fall in.
Alice says that she had done everything she could and pressed charges on me. This never happened, and once again is another lie. Since Alice posted the document, 2 of my ex-girlfriends made posts about me. My ex-girlfriend Jess, who I dated in 2019, wrote a statement that she had then deleted before she reached out to me to talk private.
Is this dude British? Like,
My goods are crafted with great.
is this dude British? He is. He is.
Just
Oh my god. Man. Let's just go to the fucking end. Does he
her
recap?
behaviour is reactive abuse and has shown text messages where she has blurred out that she had been starting these fights. I had apologised to her after I had reacted to the physical violence, gaslight.
Yeah, hey, hey, I'm Alex. Just get off the internet. I don't care anymore. Just get off the internet.